Hey everyone, so I realize that some of you might want to mine some stuff or not, but regardless, you can always add a good graphic card into a pre-built PC or one that you may have purchased from the store and had the store built for you. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take apart my PC and pop in some upgrades. If you guys are ready, let's go. Okay, so first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that the power is off. You're going to go ahead and reach in and kill the power switch in the back of your computer. Make sure that the power is off. Even after you flick the switch, there still could be power. What you want to do is just hit the power button. Make sure that any power left over in the capacitors, evacuates the capacitors, it gets used up, what have you. Then disconnect the power cable. I do apologize for my cabling mess. We'll fix it later. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to open it up, both sides, and take a look at what we have and what we need to remove, change, install, and I'll show you guys what I'm putting in. Okay guys, so the next step is after disconnecting the power, you're going to want to disconnect any and all USB cables that you may or may not have attached. So carefully disconnect all of your cables, including screens. Try to remember what goes where, makes your life easier. In my case, I do have 6 screens attached to my computer. If you can't disconnect the cable, disconnect what you can, then pull it out and then see how you can disconnect it. Don't pry or pull or anything that you're not sure of how it comes apart. Be very gentle and careful with all of your cables. I'm just gonna remove everything that we are going to install. Use a few different setups. Few different designs. Say hi to Yoda. Alright, then pull it out to, well, depending on how your setup is, but make sure you're comfortable and you have access to both ends of the computer. In this case, I have a little adapter here that I need to push on the button here and wiggle out, and I wasn't able to do that with the angle I had it at. Okay. I recommend removing everything. Of course, you could leave it. It's just a transmitter. Now, depending on if you have screws or not, you want to open the screws on both sides. The back might scare you. Don't be alarmed. So in my case, this case simply just pops out. Put it somewhere safe, as it is glass. Yours might be plastic or metal. Still, you don't want to scratch it, just put it down somewhere safe. So, just a quick recap of what I do have here. I have a radiator here, but a Corsair. It's an all-in-one. Cools down the CPU. And I have a bunch of fans. Now, common mistake, something I did do in this case, these fans, they do interlock to each other, and that's how they get power to the next one. So there's only one cable actually supplying power and RGB configurations. But I forgot that the module for it in the back actually only does it for 4. So it will power all the fans, but the RGB will only extend to 4 fans. So I only have these 2 and those 2 working, and that one's actually controlled by the motherboard. So I'm gonna be adding another power module. We'll see, because I'm trying to do something different here. As you guys can tell, this card is an all-in-one card, right? So it's also cooled with the radiator. I was hoping to see if I could put the radiator in the back on this case. Doesn't look like I'll have enough room. We'll check it out. If not, I'll put it on the bottom, and I might not actually need this fan. because there's going to be a radiator here, and I might just move these forward. Also, these I do believe are slightly larger than that one. I'll have to take a look. I do have all the other fans that go in here, the original ones and whatnot. I will be changing out the RAM. I have the matching set. I finally acquired it in the store that didn't have a matching set. I bought it last year. Again, never had time to install it. The only difference is the RGB. All right, so if you want to do all the inside stuff before you pop out the back, it might be easier, because once you open the back, you might pinch a few wires if you put the computer down. Again, you shouldn't have a problem with it, but it is easier to do a few things with the computer actually laying on its back. Okay, so now we're gonna gently and carefully make sure all the cables are out of the way, and put the computer on its side. That reminds me, I should clean the filter down. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take these out, the ones that are RGB less. So these ones have RGB and these ones they don't. On the back side here it doesn't open, but on the top side it does. So we're gonna gently flick them open, move any wires out of the way that are here that I did put there, and gently lift it up. These are the newest type. These are RGB5 RAM DDR5. They are a little bit more on the expensive angle. See, these ones are just the regular ones, silver ones, right? And these ones have the RGBs on them, just to match what I had. And the only reason I'm doing it, there's no real necessity to do it other than, well, I had the part sitting, so I might as well upgrade it and have it all the same. And again, make sure you put it the right way. If you put it the wrong way, you might end up damaging it. Slide it on the top slightly and line up the back. This side goes in first here, and then you should hear a click. There we go. And then another one, same way, not backwards, match the other way. Slide into the little cap here. Make sure any wires are out of the way. Lift up on this side if you want to make sure that you're in the right place, and you should feel a little bit of resistance as it goes in. Again, you should hear a click. If you don't, it's okay. Just double check that the back is flicked all the way up. Now they're all the same. Those are controlled by the motherboard themselves. That's it for the RAM. Now we're gonna come over to this side. We're gonna unscrew these, and it should release from the back. So we do need the back side open for that as well. But before we do that, I'm gonna take off the front, remove all the fans. I did sandwich it. What does that mean? That means there's fans on this side and on this side. So I'm gonna have to remove really long screws that go all the way through. And what secures it is actually this part here, which is part of my actual case. All right, so now that we've replaced the RAM, we're gonna take off the CPU cooler with the radiator that's currently sandwiched. Why are we doing this? Well, number one, I had the upgraded part for a long time. Number two, you know, some people, they want just the ASUS parts only, and this is kind of like what I wanted to do originally with the build. So I have the ASUS motherboard. Now I have the ASUS radiator. CPU cooler comes with the very nice LCD. You can get a lot of info on that screen, as well as your temperature. So that's the main point of the upgrade. I'll see about the fans. Not sure about if I'm gonna keep them or keep the current fans on yet. We'll see. I might change the fans on the inside and keep these ones on the outside. And I also have the ASUS card that we're gonna change. So take off the front, the top as well. The top we'll do later, but we'll take off the front for now. and start tearing this apart. Also good idea to wow, I haven't noticed how much is in there. I know it's kind of disgusting, but good idea to clean it out while you're at it. There we go. So you know, you can't see it in these cases, but yeah, this is very fine dust particles. Don't forget to clean it out. All right, so now that we got these 4 screws out, carefully pull out the entire thing. Not the whole way. Just pull out the entire thing carefully. There's wires that go to the side here. You guys can kind of see. Okay, those are for the fans in the front. And then the original wires with the radiator connect with those ones here. So now what we're gonna do in order to take this off is rest it here. And we don't wanna tear off the small wires on the side, so we're gonna carefully turn it. Okay. And on the back here as well, it also just pops out. Once again, you want to put it somewhere safe. Make sure it doesn't break on you. Locate the wires on your setup and loosen them before unplugging them. Try to remember where they go and simply unplug them. So this might not be your style of setup. You might not have this elaborate of a design. It might be a little bit different, might be more simple than this, might be just a 1 wire. Again, it depends on your setup, but in general, rule of thumb is locate the wires first. So you see all these fans here, they're connected to each other. This only has 1 wire for power and 1 wire for the RGB, and they go into here. So in my case, I need to also unwind this. And simply disconnect those 2. A little pry notch here. And on the sides here. Turn this. Careful, don't pull on the wires because you might rip them. Sometimes you just gotta wiggle it when it comes off. Okay, now this and this, I actually have to change these a little bit. Those are the LIAN fans. Now, as you remember, I only have the top 2 here that are lighting up. I'm gonna have to change it and make sure that all of them light up. And I do have another adapter, another module controller to light up the other ones. So that's what we're gonna have to do. All right, so now that we have these loose, pull them through the hole as well. Now you have all the cables here loose. The only thing that's left to do is carefully put it back in, turn it, give yourself some more room so you can see on the other side when you disconnect it. So now, apologies about the mess. Now what you're gonna wanna do is make sure you have sufficient lighting to see what you're doing. You're gonna wanna open these 4 screws. In my case, these lines don't come out, but this one does, and I don't want it damaged. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna unplug it. Okay, and move it out of the way. Pull it through on the back, because we're not gonna be using this cable anymore. This cable belongs to this setup, and just simply leave it hanging in the back for now. Don't bother yourself with completely disconnecting it. We want to make sure we don't damage the unit, so we're going to deal with the unit first. Then what you want to do is grab the proper screwdriver that fits in here and make sure you have it. Before that, actually, I'm just going to remove the elastic stuff that holds the wires in for this. And unplug it. In this case, there are 2 cables for this, so I'm going to fish them both through and out. So there's all the cables that come with it. You got the 3 fans that mount onto it originally, and the fan power supply that comes from the motherboard, so you have control. The SATA power for the pump, and the USB cable that was here to get all the controls on it from the computer once you have it on and actually configure it. So the only thing left to do now is to carefully unscrew these and take out all these parts and put them aside. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Now over here we have Intel CPU, so your setup for an AMD might be a little bit different. The idea is the same, you might just need a different bracket. Now here, I actually bought this before there were any adapters. Sorry, before there were any original parts that fit this new generation of Intel chips, so we had to use an adapter. Now on the new one, it actually does not require a special adapter because it comes with it. So I might have to change the bolts here. If you guys have an older type of part that you want to reuse on a newer motherboard, it is possible. You just need the adapter for Intel. The AMD ones didn't change. So now you want to carefully slide it off. Okay. I recommend that you put it back in its original case. You can leave it on or you can clean it off in preparation for whatever build you're doing next time. So now you're going to want to hold all the wires together here and fish it through. Okay, and this is what we have now. I'm just going to move it over. There's the CPU cooler with the pump and the radiator and all the wires. It might look scary, but it's not. Now this is the design where I sandwiched the radiator, so I have a push-pull situation where the front fans are pushing and the back ones are pulling. You might not always want to do that. You have to make sure that the fans are capable of pulling sufficiently, because if the ones that are pushing too hard, you might not even need the back fans. It might do you more harm than good. So first things first, take out all 3 fans in the front and remove the radiator from the actual part that belongs to the case. Then remove the back 3 non-original fans. Clean them up and prepare the case, blow it out, prepare it for the new one. Now you're going to lift this up and you're going to see what I meant by when I said that they are attached. So these are the LIAN fans. You just slide them on, you slide them off, you slide on and off like such. And when they do, you can see they get power like that. So you put them on, slide it on, that's it. Less cables, less mess. Very nice. Only negative part about it is you're only able to control up to 4 fans and 4 RGBs with the one controller. It will power more, but you're only able to control the RGB on 4 of them at a time. The other one just simply won't light up. But it will spin. So we're gonna clean these up and get them ready for our next one. And now, if you see on the other side of the radiator, you do it carefully, right? Actually, I should have done it from this side first, but make sure you don't mess the wires up. But you're gonna want to take out these fans as well and clean them all up. Clean the radiator up before putting it back in the box or using it on your next build right away, what have you. But I overscrewed this. Gotta get rid of the screwdriver. But you get the gist of it. You want the brackets back so you can use them for another radiator, which we will do. So I'm just gonna snap my fingers, get this done real quick, take it all apart, and show you guys with this piece without a radiator. Now these on this side could be longer than on the other side, so just do put them separately. In my case they're not, but in your case they might be, so do put them rather separately. Be prepared that when you pull this off, in my case, in this case, it will come apart. Clean these off, get them ready for the next time. Right now what I gotta do is I gotta go clean all this off, blow all this out, and get it ready for the new radiator and cooler. Just be careful when you pick it up and you blow it out. You don't want to get too close to it. You don't want to bend it. You want to keep it good for the next project you're going to do, because there's nothing wrong with it. Just make sure that you put it back. This is why I keep all the original boxes for these. Number one, it's better for resale value. Number two, you can always pack it back and make sure it's not damaged. So now that I've got everything up and cleaned, one more thing I'm going to recommend is, if you're doing what I'm doing, which is replacing the graphic card, I'm actually going to go ahead and disconnect it and clean it off and put it away in the box that it came with, as well as the back fan. I'm going to take it apart. I'm going to take apart these fans and the bottom filter. I'm just going to clean out the whole system. Might as well, we're already in it. Debating leaving these here, the LIAN extensions. Why? Because they light up, they're pretty. I also do have a different attachment piece that gives me a 90-degree angle, and it just goes right out the back, so there's no wires, nothing. So I might leave it for the looks the way it is now, because it does have this nice little cool effect to it. But I might do another video of me removing it and replacing it. These cables I'm not sure about. I gotta open up the new graphic card and see if it needs 2 or 3. This does take 2 8-pins. I do have the extension for the 3 8-pins, but we'll see. So right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove the graphic card carefully. Notice here I forgot to, I was in a rush when I was putting it together. I put it together out of necessity. I wasn't planning to upgrade actually originally. But I needed to, because my other one, as you saw, the holes on the top fell off the wall. Long story, it was a big storm, and I forgot the window open, so it fell off the wall. It was one of those thermal tape cases that open and hangs. I'll show you guys later another time. But here, what I'm trying to say is I forgot the bracket, the support bracket that stops the card from leaning down, which I'm not going to be using now anyway, because I'm going to be putting mine upright. Well, not actually upright, it's a surprise. You guys will see soon. So I'm going to take this apart, take the fans off, take the filter off, clean that out too. that. And now we can slide open this filter. Make sure we get that cleaned as well. Check it up, get it out. And these fans, I don't know if I'm gonna have to take them off for now, but I'm gonna leave it here for now. We'll see when I get the card positioned how it's gonna be, because there's some more room between the left, right, and the right side here. Depending on the radiator that's gonna go here, if I'm gonna sandwich it or not, I might be able to push the fans, remove one, or put the bigger ones in. We'll see, because there's more room in the back too. All right, so cleaned it all out, blew it all out. It's all clean. All the fans that are apart, everything's clean. Now, we kept these loose. Cables are still connected. I just don't know if I'm gonna keep that fan. But we open the box. This is the new part that goes in there. It's LGA 1700 supportive. I'm hoping I don't have to remove the bracket, but if I do, not a big deal. It should be the same actually. The only difference is the screws, right? So this box should come with the same screws. So theoretically, I'm just gonna leave them in the box and put the new one on top. Obviously, I will clean out the thermal paste, but before that, let's just open this and take a look. So let's take a quick look at it. It's a huge, bulky piece. Wow, this is big, but it's big because, I don't know if you know it, just careful with that piece right there. Gotta carefully put that on because it's got the new thermal paste that we need on it. Became separated in the packaging somehow. Just gonna slide it back on gently. Clip it. There we go. So this piece actually has a built-in fan, a mini fan that blows out the sides over here. So not only is it got the radiator with the fans on the radiator, but it's got a built-in fan into the unit itself. It's kind of neat. So let's take it apart, pull it out of the box, and see how cool it is. Okay, so I took it off so we can see it better. It's a pretty good size screen. The cooler itself is actually lighter than all the other coolers I have ever held in my life. The adapter, why is this compatible, you ask? Well, it's the same adapter that I already have on there. Pretty good. So all they did is they just added the adapter into the box versus the store having to give you one. And it still has, you know, your normal Intel adapter for all the other boards, right? You can see right there, there's a figure 8 in the holes. And the AM4 adapter. Now the difference between this and that, it's just that's an oval and that's a figure 8. I mean, in my head, if I couldn't find the adapter, I was just gonna finish it off, make it an oval. But I never came down to it, I guess. So it is what it is. There's the controller, which reminds me, I gotta check that I didn't forget the other controller from the other unit. So all it is you plug in the fans. This unit does come with the USB, right? But I am pretty sure I can just plug that in straight to the motherboard, and I don't actually need the controller. But we shall see. It's always better to use their controller and their wires instead of plugging it directly to the computer. Comes with 3 Noctua fans at 2000 RPM each. 1.2 watts. I'm just gonna stick with the fans I already have because I know that they move better. And probably the coolest thing here in this box, other than the screen, is the stickers. Who doesn't like stickers? Should I put them on? Let me know in the comments, guys. I still don't have any stickers on this computer. Okay, so just to show you guys what the difference is, there's the normal, well, older style now, I guess, bracket, and there's the 1700 bracket. Now there's different screws. I'm just gonna have to change those out real quick. Okay, so we're gonna use the Noctua wipes to clean this off. They are amazing quality. I'm just gonna go ahead and clean that off. Beautiful. Make sure you get every little bit, as much as you can. It might be easier for you to put the computer on its side and do it. You don't have to take out the processor, you can just leave it where it is. And we don't need to buy thermal paste because it's also on the new radiator, right? You want to let the alcohol dry up. Okay, these are what I'm using. So in the meantime, while it dries up, it should be quick. I'll show you guys a few things. That's a 90-degree adapter so that I can get rid of some cables. This one in particular goes into here where the extension for the USB 3-piece goes. It'll go right into there, and then we won't see this bulky cable right here. Okay, I also have some coming for this, which is the other USB cable that plugs in. That goes to the top of the computer. And I also have it for the 6-pin. But the 6-pin, I might actually end up using one of these lines. We'll see. So these ones, what they do is they look like this, right? And they just give you a 90-degree extension. So it works out for here, but it won't work out for here just because where the hole is. If I had to put thermal paste, I'd put the Grizzly one on, but I don't need it. Now, I'm also debating taking out this one, okay? It just looks pretty, but all it is the cable extension, and they have more wires in the back. I was thinking, maybe I'll just get rid of the wires altogether. This one is a 24-pin, 90-degree, RGB enabled cable adapter. So you plug it in here, it does the same thing that I just explained to you guys on here, 90 degrees, all the way in, and you will not see this wire whatsoever, right? And that's it. For that part, this is essentially, well, I'm not going to say redundant, but it is. The old one did not use one. It just plugs in directly to the computer, and all this does is it gives you that option as well. Depending on your motherboard, you might have the plug, you might not have the plug. I have the plug, so I don't need that piece. But one thing that's actually nifty on it, that's fair to mention, you can mount it like an SSD. It's got the 4 screws in the back that fits into the back of this that has the SSD brackets that you can put right there. Yeah, I know it looks like a mess, but don't worry, it'll be good when we're done. Okay, so next up, put the radiator with the fans again sandwiched onto the bracket, and only then will we install this. because we want it secured. We don't want it moving around and damaging the radiator. Okay guys, so I sandwiched it. I didn't tighten it too much. I just wanted to get it in there and show you guys how it works. There is the piece that goes in the CPU. That's the cooler with a little fan inside there. There's the radiator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick it up, show you guys what's the best way I think to put it on. It's very easy. You have a giant hole in the front there. I'm just going to put it down here, lean it over. I'm doing this one-handed, so do excuse me. I'm going to bring this carefully around the front here. Notice that I did also grab the cables for the rear fans, which I will show you in a second. There's 2 cables here for the rear fans. Now because we sandwiched it, there's also 1 cable there for the front fan, and we will be putting the rest of them on. I just want to make sure that it all fits nicely. So we want to see the alignment here, because these do fit up and down. There are slots for it, and we want to make sure that we got it in the right height, because this is height adjustable. So if this is too high or too low, you could indeed adjust it before you screw it completely in. The little slots here. Okay, so height adjustable, meaning that you can actually bring the radiator down or up. See? You can, if you didn't screw it in too hard, you can bring it down or up depending on how much room you have. Now the sandwiching part is you sandwich the back radiator, the back fans with the radiator in the middle, and then you put the fan in the front. You can really see it easily here. There's the LIAN fans in the back, radiator in the middle, and these fans, they screw on top of the bracket here that's actually screwing into the radiator. Now I checked, so I reused the screws, but you should be careful. Not all of them are interchangeable, and you want to use the screws from your new box every single time, from your new radiator, because if they're any different than the original ones that you have, you run the risk of screwing right into that radiator and damaging it. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the rest of the fans in now that I'm satisfied with the height. And once I do that, I'm going to circle back, show you guys what it looks like, and then we'll do the install on the CPU cooler itself. Okay, so we've taken the plastic cover off. Paste is already there, so we don't need to apply a new one. Just turn the tubes and line it up with a hole. So you can see right there, there's a hole, and there's the screws right there. You just gotta line it up with those screws and put it right on to those screws. Okay, so it would appear that I forgot to change the bracket actually. So just 1 second. Okay, so we got the new cooler installed. We got the radiator sandwiched again. Ran the wires. Notice I took out the white wire that was here for the graphic cards in preparation for putting the new one in. Reconnected all the cables. Cleaned everything up. Put the front cover back on. The back is a mess. By the way, we did need to use the module that came with it. This is gonna get cleaned up. not a problem. I do need to add another one of these in to light everything up, which is all right. So now I know this this was brand new when it just came out, but I've had it, like I said, for quite a while. It's got a nice layer of dust on it. I do have a 3090 in the basement that, I don't know, something about water cooling. Just want to do everything, I guess, water cooled. Well, I mean, I could have got the motherboard water cooled too, but you know, I'm just upgrading the parts just because I already have them, not because of anything else. And this is a full out ASUS build, right? ASUS motherboard, cooler, card. I do have the power supply for ASUS, an ASUS power supply that matches everything. I don't know if I should put it in because you can't see it. And there's nothing wrong with the EVGA Platinum, so I don't know why. I mean, I have a 1200 Platinum ROG power supply, but you can't see it. So I don't feel like there would be a difference. Who knows, maybe that's another video, but for now I'm gonna open this bad boy up and I'm gonna see if I actually plug it in directly into the motherboard or we start having fun. And by fun I mean putting it upright or tilted. Alright. So guys, I didn't realize how big it is. I don't know where to put the radiator. We'll see. Maybe I put it on the back. Maybe I put it on the bottom, but then I'll have to get rid of the filter screen. Just look how big it is. If you put it upright or if you put it on the 45, it's just, this is a big card. A giant card. It's a high-end card. Oh, by the way, if you guys didn't know, it comes with more stickers. And it even has a Pokemon style, I kid you not. It's got a Pokemon style card in it. Really? And of course, you have the coordinates. Wow. Okay, let's put it in. Okay, so we had to switch from the double 8-pin to the triple 8-pin because this card does take 3 8-pins. Sticking with the LIAN. That's all there is to it. There's just an extra strand of 8 pins. I did have to attach another cable here in the back, so I got the extra one here. I'm just gonna use that one. These are basically pretty extensions to it. Real quick guys, I forgot to mention that if the cable is facing the wrong way, you can actually take it apart. So if you look at this, you're supposed to plug them in like that, right? But the lights are going to be facing the wrong way, right? So these, they actually come off, and you can remove it. It slides right out, and you can flip it over so it faces the other way and then plug it in. Okay, so now that we have the graphic card installed, you can see that there isn't much room to put the radiator. with the fans. So what I'm thinking is I'm gonna keep the 3 fans that are there, flip them over, remove the filter on the bottom, because as long as you're pushing air out, it doesn't really need a filter, and I'm gonna mount the radiator on the bottom. Let's get to it. Okay, so now that everything is back installed, what a horrible idea that was. We're gonna put the filter back on the bottom. I just didn't want to make holes. It would have worked, but I just didn't want to make holes. So, ran the wire through the inside of this loop, through the inside of the 24-pin loop. So that just looks prettier. I'm gonna lift it up. Now, because we have these fans here, because they're LIAN fans, we could remove the screws that are here, remove this whole thing, mount it onto the back of this first, okay, then use only the top to mount it to this fan, right? Keep in mind they all slide in, so we can do it, but only if you have these type of fans. We should be okay, because we still have the fans on this side too, don't forget. So this radiator is always going to get good pressure, and the reason I'm putting another radiator on it, again, it's not very recommended to do, but I'm pretty sure of myself in this case, because we have a substantial amount of airflow here. So I'm thinking it's going to be okay. Let's go ahead and mount it on. I have special ties like those, so I'm just going to do that to the wires on the top. Let's not forget, guys, you gotta go to the website rog.asus.com, put in your device that you've just updated for, go to the driver utilities page, select the Windows version you have, and download the utility and the software, the latest version, install it, then open it back up after restarting. It first has to install the framework, so don't be afraid if you can't hit the update all button. It's got to install the framework first. It does take a minute to load up, and once it does that, you're gonna have the option to update everything, and then restart your computer. You should have the control to flip the screen and whatnot, more color controls on the motherboard and whatnot, and stuff like that. So that's a must, as well as any Windows updates. It's also recommended you do that, because if you notice one of my screens is still not working, that's because after I updated everything, I still didn't after I upgraded everything, I still didn't update. This is a common problem when switching Windows systems, so just beware. That may happen. It's not a big deal. There's a solution for that. If you go over to Device Manager and you hit update, it won't find it. right? So this is the right way of doing things. You got to update the software.